In a world dominated by video games and 80s nostalgia, a young man competes in a series of games to win power and riches. With the help of his friends, he conquers virtual and real world challenges. Femininity in the post-apocalypse.
How's it going, my feisty friends from the future? This is Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse, a feminist exploration of dystopian media. I'm your host, Klaire Lockheart. I'm an artist who specializes in painting dudes in man caves. When I'm not in my studio obsessing over minute details with oil paint, I enjoy watching and discussing movies with other amazing artists. I'm looking forward to talking about the 2018 movie Ready Player One with my spectacular guest. We'll describe the plot, give it a rating, and then I will introduce you to the current recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree from the Unaccredited College of Claire. My friends, I can't thank you enough for joining me. My guest is one of my absolute favorite people in the world, and I'm sure you've already guessed that I'm referring to corporate industrial lifestyle photographer Aaron C Packard.
Hello.
If you're a new friend, I should disclose that Aaron and I are married, so you don't have to report me to the Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse HR department. Regardless of my personal bias, I want you to check out Aaron's photography and videography for yourself by going to aaronpackard.com, which is spelled AARONPACKARD. He's the youngest child of a pair of hippie art professors. He's a Navy veteran and my favorite misanthropic Gen X artist. Please welcome to the show, Aaron C. Packard.
Hello. Yes, a very misanthropic Gen Xer. I think that's actually required in some sense to be a misanthropic Gen Xer.
I keep having to invite you back to this show because every time we're done recording an episode, I find out you have won more awards for your photography, specifically for South Dakota Sunset, that cotton candy color scheme landscape with porta potties. Do you know what the latest award is this time, Aaron?
Yes, there's other images that have done well, but yes, that one I think most recently I got an honorable mention at the 17th International Color Awards.
You have quite a list of awards that this photo has earned.
It was kind of the one I sent out for comic value, and it seems to have done the best.
This is a photo our friends can see on your website, correct?
Yes.
And there are many other award-winning photographs on your site, aaronpackard.com, but the porta potty one is the silliest one, which is why I like drawing attention to it.
Yes.
Aaron, thank you once again for returning to be a guest on Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse. We most recently investigated Zombieland, but your most popular episode is when we covered Dune by Frank Herbert. I have to wonder if our friends also slogged through that mighty tome, or if they simply wanted to hear our synopsis because they planned to see the new movie and wanted extra context.
Yeah, probably. Or they read it many years ago and had been contemplating rereading it, and they're like, oh no, we could just listen to their podcast.
Anyway, Aaron, I'm delighted that we get to talk about Ready Player One. First of all, could you please tell us about what drew you to this motion picture in the first place?
I mean, it was obviously that it has this whole 80s nostalgia pop culture thing that I wanted to see what it was they were pulling out.
So you wanted to check up and see how accurate their nostalgia was?
Yes, definitely.
As usual, this is the point when I have to confess that I am terrible at watching movies at home because I try to work at the same time. I wander off to find snacks, and my attention span glazes over the minute the screen fills with CGI animation because my brain thinks it's a screensaver. So, this is why I invite you to interject while I share the synopsis of the movie.
I shall and will.
I'll attempt to retell what happens in Ready Player One to jog our memories. This will also refresh the memories of our lovely friends listening who haven't watched the flick recently or didn't see it but enjoy our company.
Mm-hmm.
I want to quickly mention that most of the violence happens in the video game world, but there is a little bit of domestic violence portrayed near the beginning, just in case anyone isn't in the mood to listen to that. After we finish the synopsis, we'll rate the feature film using the Maenad-O-Meter.
Maenad-O-Meter.
The ancient Greek Maenads were known to drink wine and party, which is why I have to ask if you recall what we had to drink the last time we watched this talkie.
Well, we went out for a couple of cocktails at Cece's beforehand. I believe I had a Manhattan and you had a whiskey smash.
Yes.
Yeah, and then while watching the movie, we did each have one more drink of just a whiskey on the rocks.
In the year 2045, the world is dominated by video games and 80s nostalgia. A young man in Columbus, Ohio, climbs down his multi-story trailer park as Jump by Van Halen plays. Aaron, this is the second apocalyptic movie in a row that we watched where Columbus played an important role. What does that mean?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that as you were saying it again. Yes.
No one in this community has curtains in their homes, and everyone plays virtual reality games, which seems like great exercise.
Mm-hmm.
The protagonist narrates that he was born in 2027 during an age when people tried to outlive their problems, but his parents didn't. Oh, if anyone plans to have a baby in the year 2027 and name him Wade Watts, don't bother saving for retirement.
Oh.
Was that too dark?
No, not at all.
Anyway, the main guy explains that he lives with his aunt and plays video games in a van in a junkyard. He's infatuated with a man named Halliday, who invented the video game network called the Oasis. It's basically Futurama's interpretation of the internet where you have to log on with goggles and gear.
Yes.
One of the notable aspects of this virtual meeting space is that people can be whoever they want to be through their avatars. The protagonist, Wade, goes by the name Parzival in the Oasis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a little Arthurian comment there.
Why is he never banging two coconuts together then? He fashioned himself to appear as a cooler version of himself, who is a young white man. His best friend is called H, and he's a huge, burly, bald bro who is highly skilled at rebuilding and repairing machines. Even though they have never met in real life, they are the best of friends. When we watched this movie recently, we had the captions on, and this is when I noticed H's name isn't just the letter H, but is instead spelled A-E-C-H.
Yes.
I know that it's because I'm an old person who doesn't get kids these days and their fads and hula hoops, but I hate how it is spelled so much. And this is coming from a person with an absurdly spelled name. The only name I abhor more in this story is Artemis. That is spelled A-R-T. 3.
Oh, right. That's the 3.
M-I-S. Aaron, do you remember watching the movie Mithrigan?
Mithrigan, yes.
That evil Irish robot doll.
Yes, I can't help but say it in a bad Irish accent. Mithrigan.
Oh, I want to watch Leprechaun versus Mithrigan.
Yes.
Should Artemis with the 3 in it be pronounced Artraismus?
Artraismus.
Artois-miss?
Artois-miss. Yes, I like Artois-miss. Yes, very French.
I think I'm going to replace the I in my name with an exclamation point.
Ooh, yes, yes.
How will you spell your name so it's all futury? Will the O be a
Uh,
0 and no one will type it correctly?
Probably something like that. Yes.
So Parzival explains that if characters die in this virtual world, they lose all their video game prizes. He reveals that James Halliday, the inventor of the Oasis, is his hero. Instead of developing his own personality, the protagonist obsesses over Halliday, who looks like he's the younger brother of Garth Algar.
Definitely the younger brother of Klaire Lockheart.
Oh, is it Wade's World instead of Wayne's World?
Oh, yes, yes. Wade's World. Wade's World. Yes.
Party on Garth.
Party on Wayne.
When Halliday died, he released a "If you're watching this, I am now dead" video. And I hope more people do this in the future to express their latest wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Halliday explained that he created a convoluted game within the Oasis that consists of various puzzles and tasks, and anyone who solves them will get a key. And if they get enough keys, then they get an egg. Then whoever gets the egg will be given a stack of real-world cash plus control over the Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall. But this game causes a frenzy of nerds trying to out-fanboy each other to play the games and solve the riddles, and an evil corporation with unlimited resources called IOI rises up to compete. The big boss at IOI is Nolan Sorrento, who recently completed the introductory class called Movie Trope Bad Guys 101.
And when his avatar comes into play, even more so.
In addition to being led by an evil white man, the board of directors was mostly made up of men, but the workers they exploit had more diversity.
Yes, yes, there was much diversity in the exploited masses.
Many of their employees are locked in cells and forced to play games in the Oasis to increase shareholder value. They also have a team of pop culture scholars who specialize in Halliday lore, so the company can attempt to take over the virtual world.
Mm-hmm. And I think they have a whole militaristic section as well.
Next, Parzival and H race vehicles to try to get a key. I'm sure this seed would have been fun and exciting if we were actually playing this video game, but no. I have a hard enough time staying engaged while watching a movie, and I have no attention span whatsoever to watch other people play games.
I agree completely. I
It's
absolutely agree.
it's like when you worked for the university and had to document a lot of sports ball events.
Yes,
And
yes.
if I would chat with other people, they're like, "Oh, he's so lucky. He gets to go photograph the sports ball tournament thing. Isn't that fun?"
Yes, I mean, the only thing that made it interesting was that I could get close enough that I might get hit by somebody. So, that gave it an air of challenge. If not photographing, I would not spectate sports.
For me, I wonder if this stems from having so little leisure time that I don't want to waste it watching other people have fun.
Yes.
Does this extend to video games for you as well? Because I once heard that you loved listening to people play Zelda all day and all night.
That's definitely what turned me off to video games for many years in my life.
Should we provide some context?
I was in the Navy, and was going to an advanced technical school in Pensacola, Florida, and was in this quad situation with a bunch of roommates who were, I think, rescue swimmer training guys. Anyways, but they were on like this weird 24-hour schedule. There was one, like, whatever Nintendo video game unit that would have been at that time in the living room area we had with a TV. And I
Yeah.
think the only game they had was whatever version of Zelda that would have been in 1989 or 90. But anyways, yeah, it was Zelda 24 hours a day on like full volume
Volume.
of 8-bit soundtrack going. Yeah, that kind of really turned me off.
Parzival meets Artemis with the aforementioned 3 in the middle of her name. Because this movie was written by adult men, the script has the characters refer to Artemis as a girl, but Parzival isn't called a boy.
Hmm.
During the race, Parzival stops short of the finish line because King Kong blocks his path.
If they actually had Nintendo licensing, I think that would have been Donkey Kong instead of King Kong. But
He crashes his Back to the Future mobile and jumps from his vehicle to warn Artemis. He yanks her off her motorcycle, and because they tumble and land on top of each other, movie rules dictate that they will have to be in love.
yep, definitely.
That's how we met in grad school, right?
Yeah, I think so.
No.
No.
Artemis is upset about her messed up bike, but Parzival volunteers his friend H to fix it. H is a highly skilled mechanic who builds the best nerdy things.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there a Dune mobile in H's shop?
Well, we didn't see it, but there was some comment of a Harkonnen dropship or something like that.
Parzival then visits the virtual museum of Halliday and watches a video clip that gives him the hint to try the race again, but go backwards.
Mm.
And I have to go on a little bit of tangent because did Halliday record his whole life from every angle, or did he have people program it and it's all dramatic reenactments?
If you look at things like those fail videos that you can find on the internet, it's obviously people are having those security cameras going 24 hours a day in their houses and
He has
such,
been
so-
recording himself since before he invented the Oasis.
That's
It's
true.
Before
That's true.
he lost his friendship, when he was still working in an office. And did
Yeah.
all the other people consent to be part of this documentary?
It was corporate rules. Who knows?
Whether it was reenacted, anyway, creepy. Parzival wins the race, and Halliday's pre-recorded wizard avatar awards him a key and another clue. He also gets real-world money and upgrades his gaming gear.
Yes.
Parzival is the first person on the leaderboard, and this makes the IOI board rather angry. The audience meets Sorrento's top henchman, who is an incredibly stern lady, and we know she's evil because she has bangs and eyeliner.
Ooh. Wait, are you evil?
Hey, I resemble that comment. Sorrento logs into the Oasis disguised as super capitalist man
Definitely super capitalist man.
and meets with a skull torso robot voiced by Deadpool's bartender friend. This new character gives Sorrento a sinister weapon and tries to bond, but the big bad boss orders Parzival's demise.
Yes, the sphere of Antivox, something like that.
Artemis wins the key from the race, too, and then H gets one. H told his friend Dido, whose character is a samurai, and he told his ninja friend Sho. I'm sure it will surprise no one to find out that I don't play a lot of video games, so I don't know if this is still accurate, but for a long time, many games had 4 characters that you could choose from.
Yes.
The main white man, the big beefy bro, the smaller guy / the ninja, and Boobs McGee.
Yes, you can never forget Boobs McGee.
You have to have some representation for the ladies. This movie breaks from this format, though, because their lineup includes main guy, beefy bro, 2 ninjas for the price of 1, and the character design for Boobs McGee emphasizes her lack of shoulders and skeletal structure more than emphasizing her chest for most of her costumes.
Most of them.
How revolutionary.
I still think that character is somewhat based on the Grand Odalisque in the fact that she has like 27 extra vertebrae.
When we get to the scene when she's wearing the slinky dress, she is all spine, no scapula, no shoulders, just little tiny arms. And her body structure does look like they modeled her after Jean-Auguste Dominique Ing's Grand Odalisque.
Yes, it does.
When Parzival and Artemis visit the Halliday Museum, they're greeted by the robo-butler who takes care of the virtual facilities. This is when the audience learn that the villain from IOI was Halliday's intern. I don't know how many times I've watched this movie, but this is the first time I realized that the antagonist isn't Halliday's former best friend. They are 2 separate generic white bros with the same wig.
Pretty much, yes.
The robot plays a video clip that shows Halliday went on a date with a woman named Kira, who later married his best friend, who is a different character named Morrow. Parzival then wins a bet against Ask Jeeves because he knows that this is the only record of this woman, and his reward is a coin. Artemis invites Parzival to go dancing. As Parzival prepares for his date, H warns him that he doesn't know Artemis, and she could very well be a dude from Detroit named Chuck.
300 pounds in his mom's basement.
Artemis likes Parzival's buckaroo bonsai outfit, but I'm not sure if her costume is a reference to something other than the obligatory male gaze spelled G-A-Z-E.
Yeah, I don't think that dress really was referencing anything other than the male gaze.
They do some bad animated dancing, and Artemis tells Wade she doesn't look like her character in real life, but Parzival reveals his name is Wade, and
Dun, dun, dun.
he is in love with her.
Oh, no.
She chastises him because you should never tell anyone on the internet your real name. And she's right, because their conversation is overheard by the bartender from Deadpool and Deadpool 2, but not Deadpool versus Wolverine for reasons.
Yes, reasons.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
There's an IOI ambush, and Wade learns that his virtual reality suit causes real-world pain. He then solves a Rubik's Cube to turn back time 60 seconds so he and Artemis can escape. Artemis lectures Wade about the evils of IOI and discloses that her dad built up debt at the company's store, so the corporation worked him to death. Meanwhile, the villains learn Wade's identity, and they offer him a job, an apartment, and $25 million if he finds the egg for IOI. Sorrento tries too hard to prove he's not a corporate schlub by having his professional nerds pull a Cyrano de Bergerac so he can woo Wade. After telling Wade that on his ideal Saturday night he has no date, a 2-liter bottle of Shasta, and his all-rush mixtape, Wade rejects the offer. Wait, I got that wrong.
Yes, you did. It's a really good synonym for what I think it was. Crack open a tab and play Galaga. I can't remember if that was the right game, but honestly, I maybe I was in a different culture area in the 80s, but I didn't know anybody who drank tab.
After dismissing his yes men, Sorrento threatens Wade. Immediately, Wade calls his aunt to warn her, but her abusive partner won't let her talk on the phone. IOI blows up the mobile home, and Wade's aunt and her jerk-faced boyfriend, along with everyone else in the stack of houses, are killed.
That's a pivotal moment, blah, blah, blah. But the way that they are stacking mobile homes, I'm honestly surprised that this method has not been used already in our society.
I know. Do they get tornadoes in Ohio?
That would be that'd be a mess with that kind of situation.
Oh, absolutely. As the leading character tries to warn his friends, a man with a very identifiable facial tattoo sneaks up behind Wade, but forgets to ask, "Does this rag smell like chloroform?" When Wade awakens, he meets Artemis, whose earthbound name is Samantha. They're at a secret rooftop rebel compound garden that has a great view and isn't hidden even slightly.
No.
Wade tells Samantha that he's not disappointed by her appearance, and he yammers on so awkwardly and touches her face to tell her he doesn't care about her birthmark. When I have something that I'm self-conscious about, I totally want strangers to touch me and point it out when I meet them for the first time. How about you, Aaron?
Can I touch your hair?
Ugh.
Ugh.
While they converse, Artemis figures out the second clue. After paying another visit to android Alfred, she learns that Halliday took Kira to see The Shining on their only date.
Yes, we saw The Shining on a bit of a date as well.
Yeah, this was a few years ago. I had a solo exhibition in the Twin Cities area, and I packed up all my art when it closed, and I had to drive across Minnesota back to South Dakota during a blizzard. But I made it back in time so we could go to the Vermilion movie theater and watch The Shining.
Yes, and I think we even walked through the snow to get down there because it was
Yeah,
getting a little deep.
the snowstorm was getting pretty hazardous. But the characters in the movie are in a snowstorm before they go in the theater, too. And I thought that was really well done.
Oh yeah, it was good. And then the theater is called the Overlook as well.
Oh, that's a
So
great detail.
yes.
Inside, H asks if this is a scary movie because he's never seen it. He then runs into the creepy twins. Come play with us, Danny. That's upsetting.
Oh, very, very.
But then H is swept away by an inundation of fake blood. He escapes into room 237 and encounters the scariest and ugliest bathroom tile ever.
So is that room just one big bathroom? The interior is pretty much like verbatim
Green
from the
tile.
movie because they just walk into the room and it's just all bathroom, I guess. I don't know.
There's a woman in the tub, and H greets her with, "Hi, naked lady." He asks how to exit, but the nude woman moves in for a kiss. What, you don't want to do the Killers reference? Because
No.
it was only a kiss? How did it end up like this, Aaron? However, H sees the naked lady's reflection, which reveals that she's a rotting zombie. She chases him to the garden labyrinth, becomes colossal, and slashes at her unwitting prey with an axe. The gang saves H, and they run through the iconic shining hallway with fabulous carpet. Artemis figures out that the way to get the next key is to finish the date with Kira. The team goes to the ballroom, which is full of zombies tormenting Halliday's spurned love interest for all eternity.
Yes, and they're all like floating around.
After rhythmically fighting the levitating undead, Artemis asks Flapper Kira to dance, and she wins the next key.
Welcome to Jumanji.
The ne'er-do-wells at IOI send a team to The Shining to catch up to Artemis's accomplishment, and they discover that Wade is still alive.
Ooh.
He also really got over the death of his aunt fast.
Yeah, he did. He did.
The evil brunette with bangs spots the tattooed man from the autonomous collective with ease, and IOI invades the not-so-secret headquarters of the anarcho-syndicalist commune.
Yes.
How many more Monty Python references can I squeeze in here today?
A few. But I'm really surprised that they didn't try to pull off a semi-King Arthur character in the background with coconuts.
But
think that
that's
would've been
not
good.
the 80s. That was the 70s, alas.
I guess it was. It was.
Despite Artemis being the closest to winning the game, she sacrifices herself so Wade could be the hero.
Yes.
Anksunamun informs Artemis that IOI purchased her debt, and she has to work to pay off the company.
No, that was a different actor who played Inoxinamoon. This one actually played, I think, Ghost in Ant-Man 2.
Regardless, they didn't offer Artemis a job like they did Wade.
Yeah, that's interesting that there wasn't that kind of offer before, throwing her into the gulag, as it were.
This could have been a short exchange that would have highlighted Artemis's competence and would have given them the chance to pass the Bechdel test.
Yes.
But no, the corporation thinks it's best to lock this experienced video game expert in a cubicle and have her do manual labor in virtual reality.
Yeah, apparently.
Next, Wade is rescued by a young black woman named Helen. She is the opposite of a dude from Detroit named Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
She explains that her dad called her H.
Yes.
Helen drives Wade to safety in a van, and he meets Dido and Sho in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
I originally thought these two characters were brothers, but I guess they're not.
But they were in the book?
I think. I don't know. I didn't read it.
I don't know. Right. Neither did I.
That would make more sense than Dido's best friend being an 11-year-old child.
Yes, that would make much more sense.
To free Samantha from IOI, Wade and Dido meet Sorrento in his sci-fi office with guns.
Ooh.
It turns out it's an Oasis ruse, but the characters spend about 20 minutes explaining the plan we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
Wade saw Sorrento's password on a post-it note when he was hologrammed into his office previously, and the team breaks Samantha out of her cell. She divulges that the bad guys did a magic spell to create a shield, so she asks for the password so she can help fight too. Ooh, does that mean there's a big force field around your studio?
Probably, because, when I was a kid, I had to watch the movie Excalibur multiple times on a videotape to memorize that spell in 1980, probably.
I'm a different magical nerd where I don't bother to memorize every single syllable because Klaatu, Verato, Nick is good enough for me.
Yes.
Sorrento realizes his feed was hacked and logs out. He summons Evil Betty Page, and they discover that Samantha escaped.
Although we do have to back up just a second to really give credit to the absolutely dude bro 80s password that he had on that post-it note. It was like 8055 MAN69. So Bossman 69. Yes.
Embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. Anyways, let's continue.
While Samantha memorizes the magic spell to undo the shield, Parzival returns to the game and makes a long, boring speech that is broadcast across the virtual world.
They can take our Bitcoin, but they won't take our freedom.
This infuriates the nefarious CEO, and the skull torso guy attempts to comfort him by saying, "No man is a failure who has friends." Is this a quote from something?
I think so, but I have
Do
no
it
idea
in a Yoda voice.
No man is a failure who has friends. I can't do it today. That's awful.
I think the bad ones are better.
Yes. Sorry, Frank Oz, for my bad impression.
Yes. Frank Oz will give us a terrible review.
Yes.
The IOI grad students figure out they have to play an Atari game called Adventure for the last key. Aaron, did you ever play Adventure?
I might have played it once, but I definitely had to sit through watching friends play it.
And did they do the drag around a dot?
Yes. Yeah, well, that was the thing. Some friends definitely had to show me that they had figured out how to find the dot and get the Easter egg.
And that's why they're rich and own the company Atari today.
Yeah, no.
Artemis logs into the game from within IOI's building, and I have to wonder if she logged in with her personal account or did she have time to customize her work character to look like her preferred avatar?
I don't know how that works.
I never checked my personal email on work computers because they own all of your rights for everything when you do that.
Right.
Regardless, Artemis gets close to the orb and breaks the spell.
Yes. And now the rock, ut was betud, dotiel DNB.
How often has knowing that spell been helpful for you, Aaron?
Helpful in the sense of expressing my overreaching geekdom a few times, perhaps.
Excellent. Suddenly, a legion of licensed IP video game characters flood the screen to fight an epic battle. Artemis crashes through the windshield of Parzival's DeLorean and instructs him to play Adventure. The battle ensues, and the humans at IOI mime that their thumbs are the Atari joystick instead of pretending that they're holding invisible controllers.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that quite...
That blocking didn't work for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
The capitalist nemesis besmirches the good name of Godzilla by climbing into a Mecha Godzilla suit.
Damn him. But, Mecha Godzilla is often the bad guy, so.
Dido finishes meditating just in time to join the fight. And it's odd that the only Japanese character has to fight Godzilla.
Yeah. It's
His character transforms into a big robot that isn't Jet Jaguar because that character clashes with Gamera, so I don't know which one this one is. Do you, Aaron?
Oh, I can't remember. Isn't it the one that the 5 mini lion bots turn? Maybe. I don't
I don't know.
know.
Nonetheless, Dido shrinks, flips off the robotic kaiju, and dies.
Yes, and a mountain of treasure explodes from where he died.
Yeah, I think everyone's blood is just coins.
Yes, which is kind of fun in a way.
It gets you around that R rating, I suppose.
Yes, definitely.
H, as the Iron Giant, fights next and reveals Artemis in his palm, who throws a zombie squishy ball into Mechagodzilla's eye and it explodes.
Yeah, I can't remember what those were exactly from, but I know that Pizza Hut did a giveaway of those little squishy balls. And I actually had, I think, that exact one on the gear shift of my first car.
Tell me that was a DeLorean.
No, it was a Pontiac Astra.
There's more fighting, and the CEO starts searching through his captive employees to find Samantha. Parzival realizes she's about to be made in the real world, so he shoots her character. Samantha's supervisor tells her to go respawn, and this allows her to escape. An IOI guy wins the Atari game, but he falls through the ice, so Parzival lectures to his friends that it's important to play adventure by wandering around, which is a lecture I'm sure you've had to witness in your youth.
Oh, yes. The point was not to win, but to just play around. Yes.
But the point of this movie is to win.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, Sorrento offers Wade $50 million if he gives him the key, but the protagonist declines. Since he didn't get his way, the evildoer unleashes a weapon to destroy the entire oasis.
Well, to destroy everybody in the oasis.
Yeah, it's going to destroy everyone in the oasis, because if you can't have your way,
yes,
everything must be destroyed.
Yeah.
I'm taking my ball and going home.
Yeah.
After everyone is gone, Parzival remains. It turns out that the coin he won from the Silver Servant was a token for an extra life.
Dun, dun, dun.
They couldn't get the rights to that Mario mushroom.
Yes, Nintendo. Once again, I don't think they were able to get the rights.
Helen picks up Samantha in her van, and with the bare minimum of 2 lines exchanged about something other than a man, the writers high-fived each other.
We did it. We squeezed it in.
Woohoo! The team drives around while Wade wins the game by locating the historic Easter egg. But he's having a hard time grabbing the key because the IOI team is attacking their vehicle. Wade announces his name and where he lives to everyone watching in a plea for help. As he's about to sign a contract in the game, I don't know her name, but I wanted to make a reference to the evil ponytail lady from Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, right. Yes, I don't remember the name either.
Just pretend I nailed that reference. Anyway,
yes.
She shows up to fight everyone in the van. Wade defeats this professional villain with 1 kick, and in the game, he declines to sign the paperwork. It turns out that it was a test, which he passed.
Yes, he did.
How many times have you passed a test by refusing to do the paperwork? Usually don't get good grades with that, huh?
Yeah, usually not. Yeah.
Sorrento shows up at the trailer park and the community surrounds him. This scares him, so he brandishes a gun. He heads toward the van, opens the door, aims his weapon, but it's too late. Wade has the egg.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's excellent.
Ooh.
Extraordinary.
That's yeah, no. Okay, yeah.
Wade asks Halliday if he's an avatar. He's not. He asks Halliday if he is really dead. He is. Is this to imply that he programmed his consciousness into the game. And didn't we see Felicia Day do this on some insipid TV show once?
What, Supernatural, I think. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, I don't, anyways.
Oh, if his consciousness is programmed into the game, did he program in that lady's soul into the game that spurned him and had her actually tortured by zombies for all eternity?
Ooh.
The van doors keep opening and closing for plot points. H recorded the bad guy confessing his crime, so she goes to speak with the police. The butler robot from the Halliday Museum shows up as a lawyer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Halliday's former best friend, played by Shaun of the Dead. Yay!
Og. Just call me Og.
It's great when English actors do American accents.
I'm not John Wayne. I'm an English actor trying to do an American accent.
They all sound like they're doing a bad John Wayne impression, and I adore it. The former best friend helps Wade with legal stuff, and they shut down IOI. They also turn off the Oasis twice a week so Wade can make out with his girlfriend.
Aw.
You Make My Dreams Come True plays as the credits roll, and the soundtrack makes me wish I watched The Wedding Singer instead. While I'm sure there's a metaphor in this movie about how the rugged individual will triumph over greedy villains, but I really think we should possibly consider that monopolies in the tech industry are bad. This story is only set about 20 years in the future, and right now, Google is a train wreck that is flooded with useless AI spam. Twitter is an unmoderated cesspool of fascism and harassment. Plus, Facebook and Instagram, which are the same company, are boring streams of ads and misinformation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Perhaps instead of hoping a motivated young man and his ragtag team of scrappy friends will overthrow society for the better, we should also maybe have some regulations to prevent all giant companies from being led by selfish and immature CEOs who viciously exploit their workers while raking in untold riches.
Yeah, pretty much, yes.
Speaking of the dismal state of our lives entwined with capitalism and the internet, Aaron, do you know what we should do next?
Perhaps remind people to register to vote.
And in addition to that, let's take a break for ads so hopefully we can afford to keep staying alive.
Yay!
Hey friends, it's me, Claire. I'm going to do my impression of an NPR pledge drive by asking you to show your support for femininity in the post-apocalypse by heading to patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart, spelled KLAIRELOCKHEART. I'm not going to guilt you into signing up for a monthly subscription because you can join UCK for free, but I do want to mention how much I appreciate everyone who joins one of the paid tiers. Thank you so much. Welcome back, my friends. We'll discuss Ready Player One and rate it according to the state-of-the-art Maenad-O-Meter in just a moment.
Maenad-O-Meter.
But first, I want to reiterate the purpose of this podcast. Our goal is to investigate dystopian media through an intersectional feminist lens. When someone creates a thing for public consumption, it's okay for us, the viewers, to critique it. Aaron, you and I both earned terminal degrees in our fields, and so we have a lot of experience with criticism, and sometimes I forget that people who don't have an art background don't have the same experience giving and receiving feedback.
Yes, that's very, very true.
This is why I want to assure our friends listening that when we critique the work of others, it isn't out of malicious intent. It doesn't mean that we personally dislike the people who made it, and we aren't trying to make them feel bad.
Nope, not at all.
We simply want to share how we interpreted the work and how it relates to us.
Mm-hmm. And we may even give it a large amount of criticism, even when we really like it a lot.
For visual arts, specifically in a formal critique, good work does receive more intense feedback and criticism. And that's because you can be more nitpicky about it. Whereas if someone presents a work of art for a critique and there's just no hope in making it better, a lot of times that's why artists will go, oh, interesting. And that's
Yes,
all they have
very.
to say about it.
Yes. Very, very interesting.
Oh, this conversation just saved people how many thousands of dollars in loans for art school?
Yes.
Aaron, since you're my Gen X expert, my Gen expert,
Gen expert. Ooh. Sounds like a supplement I should be taking.
this program is brought to you by Gen Expert.
Bert.
But because you're my Gen X expert, I first of all need you to address how the characters in the movie exalted the 1980s American culture. What do you think they did well?
Well, I mean, they did well with I'm sure, the rights that they were able to get for the movie. I mean, I like that Centipede was brought in. That was one of my favorite arcade games. We had one home game, like really, really early on. That was, I think we had Pong and a race game. But no, it was good. It was nostalgic. It was fun.
Where did you play video games when you were younger?
Yes, we had an arcade called WC Franks. It was video games and hot dogs.
Regarding the movie, Aaron, did you see your absolute favorite video game represented?
No, because once again, I don't think they got any rights for Nintendo stuff. But I think these days I would like Mario Kart, I guess would be kind of my favorite one.
Is that
Yeah.
the one when we all play at the same time
Yeah,
and throw
yeah.
things at each other?
Right. The Wii one, because you actually have a steering wheel. So I liked that. That's kind of fun.
I do like the games when all your friends are in the same room playing together at the same time.
Yes, that works so much more fun.
Now, the only video game thingy that you currently own is a newer version of an Atari. And I have used it as a prop in my series of oil paintings of men luxuriating in man caves. Do you remember which one I used the Atari for?
Well, that was the Grand Brodalesque.
And the Brodalesque, of course, is my combination of a bro and an odalesque. Tell us more about your experience with this painting.
As we were discussing earlier, I do not have the extra vertebrae that the original painting
Odalesque.
had.
But you
but yes,
are my favorite model.
yes, but I am in a interestingly twisted position with the Atari controller there and such. But I think I played that game like twice.
I thought you were going to say you played the role of the swooning model very well.
Oh, yes, definitely. Such a swoon I have.
Well, a few years ago, for our friends listening, I received the Elizabeth Greenshields Foundation grant, and I'm extremely thankful to this organization because that helped me kick off that series of over-the-top detailed paintings of dudes in man caves.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot thank you enough for not only allowing me to use the Atari for a prop in my fictitious space, but also being my lovely model.
Aw, of
Thank
course.
you.
You're wonderful.
I don't spend all my time with you and making you be a guest on my show. I'm painting your portrait. And once again, reminding our friends listening, we're married.
Yes, we are.
Explains so much, huh? Now, with the movie, there are 4 notable women. Artemis, who serves as the love interest. Wade's aunt, who is a domestic abuse victim and is killed off by the writers.
Kind of a fridge thing.
Yeah, they fridged
Although
her.
he got over really quick.
The villain, who skipped her audition for the bad remake of The Mummy, so she wound up in this movie instead.
Yes.
And finally, H, who we didn't learn was a woman until the end.
Yes.
Helen is an intriguing character. She's competent and skilled, but she concealed her race and gender from everyone, including her best friend. While the movie doesn't explain why she did this, I'm sure anyone who is part of a minority group who has been harassed on the internet by dudes from Detroit named Chuck knows why.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. Will that I don't know, community ever get better? I don't know.
I've heard many statistics that the vast majority of people who play video games are women, and they are not welcomed in many of these spaces. If we remember Gamergate from a few years
Oh,
ago.
yes, yes. Yeah, it's
And
just, yeah, it's awful.
I know that as a person of a marginalized gender who exists publicly on the internet, I do receive harassment every now and then just because I'm existing and I'm documenting it to share with my friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So while most of the screen time focused on the main character and his nemesis, there was some diversity in the cast. Aaron, what characters stood out to you in this movie?
Well, definitely H is a very interesting one that I like quite a bit. And yeah, it would have been great to have more of their presence as themselves. Earlier in the movie would have been nice. I don't know how the book goes, but
I
and
don't know
then
either, but
yeah.
I think this movie would have been vastly more entertaining if it was
Yes.
presented from H's perspective.
Ooh, yes, yes, definitely. And then Artemis is a good, strong character, although they tend to throw it into a trope. She's really strong in solving things and doing stuff, and then the character is kind of put back
Hmm.
into the
I'll
into that.
sacrifice myself for
Oh
you,
yes.
boyfriend.
Yes. Which actually, that is probably more of a masculine character thing to do, or in the tropes of film,
Mm.
etc. But when she is captured, they don't try to give her like the same kind of deal kind of thing,
Mm-mm.
or say you can work for us, and then she can say no, and then they throw her into
That would
the
have
into
taken
the cell.
30 seconds.
I know it would have. So, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah. Any other characters that stood out to you?
well, the henchman character was definitely
Anok.
yes.
I don't know. Did she have a character name even? I missed it.
Yes, it was
Was it femme fatale, but instead of an A, it was that at sign, and instead of L's, it was ones?
no, 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 it was some other play of thing. It was what was
No.
it? It started with an F though.
Well, don't
Damn.
say it. I have to censor you.
I know.
Beep. No, I'm kidding. I was implying that her name was a bad word, but we can't even remember what her character's name
Yeah, I
was.
know, I know. They definitely were the more aggressive, violent end of the
Mhm.
bad guys.
She wasn't even playing the video game, so all of those people that are like, "Oh, video games makes you violent." She didn't
Yeah, no,
play at
didn't.
all. She was never in the
No,
Oasis.
nope, never.
Okay, we're getting pretty silly. Should we move on to rating it?
Yes, let's move on to rating on the Maenad-O-Meter.
Yes, this is the metric we use to evaluate diversity and dignity. It's named after the Maenads from ancient Greek mythology, who were often depicted as a group of wild women who stopped caving to the patriarchy and fled to the woods to party with the god Dionysus. Legend has it that they decapitated a nefarious king, and that's why we use the scale of 0 to 5 skulls.
Hmm.
A movie that has a lot of diversity and treats people of marginalized genders respectfully will earn a high score, but a narrative that doesn't include many women or treats them poorly will earn a low score. This rating is independent of if we personally like the film.
Hmm. Yes, I think we can do it.
Do you mind if I go first?
Go for it.
I'm going to give Ready Player One 2.5 skulls.
Mm.
This film wasn't great regarding the feminine characters, but it wasn't the worst. I gave Dune 2 skulls, mostly for Aaliyah, so I have to give this movie a slightly higher score because of H. She
Mm.
was a competent character who was vital to the plot. The cast was slightly diverse, and I want to give it credit for that. However, I can't rank this movie any higher because I did not like that Wade's aunt was a domestic abuse victim whose only contribution was being sacrificed to the plot.
Hmm.
Artemis existed to serve as the love interest, and she gave up her goal to help Wade achieve his. Even though Artemis was just as good at playing games as Wade, the evil corporation locked her in a cell for manual labor as opposed to offering her a huge bribe. While I found it an odd choice that the main villain in The Shining was the naked lady, I'm happy the creepy twins made an appearance. I'm assuming they couldn't get the licensing for the all work and no play guy.
Yeah, I suspect getting Jack Nicholson's likeness would have been pretty expensive.
I probably would have rated this movie higher, but I'm a little horrified that Halliday had so much resentment toward his former friend's wife that he erased almost the entire record of her and then
Hmm.
programmed her likeness, possibly her consciousness, into the Oasis to be eternally tormented. That's really
Yes.
upsetting and freaky
Yeah.
if we think about it a
Yeah.
little too long.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think the writer saw it
Considered
that
that.
way. Yeah, but I think that
And
definitely comes through.
And that's why having these critiques and talking about it can help make improvements for the future. So I'm going to go with 2.5. But
Hmm.
Aaron, how would you rank Ready Player One regarding its treatment of people of marginalized genders?
I wasn't thinking about fractional things in my head when I was thinking of my rating, so I did go for 3.
Go for a
But I
3.
but I think it could have done so much better with very little effort. There's just those few things that could have improved its take on all of the marginalized characters that were in it. Just giving that little bit more agency to Artemis, a little bit more with H. It didn't need much to get it over, but.
But you gave it a 3, so what did you like about it or think that
Well,
the
I like
people
that
did
it that
well?
it I did kind of like what that we didn't really talk about was in the team of grad student experts
Hmm.
that IOI had is that it was actually the woman member of that who had the right answer, although she kept on getting knocked down by the dude bros or the
Hmm.
neckbeards, you might say.
So that was accurate of some discussions in grad school, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely, I'm sure.
Okay.
It did well, but so 3 is my rating. It definitely could have been a better movie, and it definitely could have treated those characters better.
One of the aspects that I really enjoy about creating this program is that we get the opportunity to talk about books, movies, and art critically, and we don't have to come to the same conclusions. Part of the fun about discussing doomsday media is that we get to listen to each other's interpretations and opinions. I'm also excited that I get to incorporate the input from our glorious friends who are part of the unaccredited College of Claire. It makes me so happy when our friends join us at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart because they get to evaluate the topics we cover on this show. For Ready Player One, our friends at UCK gave it an average of 3 1/3 skulls.
Oh, 3 1/3. Okay.
See, we get to do fractions because when I'm averaging out everyone's input, it's often
Right.
not a solid skull. And it's just really fun to be able to hear differing opinions and chat about the media that we're consuming.
Definitely.
As always, Aaron, you are a delight. Thanks for talking about Ready Player One with me.
Oh, thank you. This was fun.
Now, before you go, Aaron, allow me to remind our friends to keep listening for the recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree. I also want to remind everyone that your website is aaronpackard.com, which is spelled asterisk asterisk R0. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's spelled AARONPACKARD. I also want to quickly mention that if our friends need to update their headshots or require other photography work, they can check out the services you offer at packardgroupllc.com. That's PACKARDLLC.com. Aaron, thank you once again for visiting with me about another dystopian movie.
I had a blast. Thank you.
It's always so much fun to chat with you.
You too. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes.
This production falls under the Department of Dystopian Studies at the unaccredited College of Claire. If you have the inkling that femininity in the post-apocalypse is simply an advertisement for my academia-themed Patreon account, you should find me at patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart to verify your suspicions. Regardless, I am the founder of UCK, which means I get to award honorary degrees to wonderful people. I'm pleased to introduce the current recipient of the Honorary Doctor of Dystopian Studies degree, Nicole Houff. She's known for her iconic photos of Barbie and Ken dolls, and her photography incorporates her sense of humor as she challenges idealized histories. Nicole proclaims that she's pretty darn nerdy, but that might be why I'm such a fan of her art. While I haven't run into her at a Star Trek convention yet, I recently had the good fortune of including Nicole's wonderful photography in the annual Thunder Domesticity Art Exhibition, and you can view her artwork for yourself at NicoleHouff.com, spelled NicoleHouff.com. Welcome to the program, Dr. Nicole Houff.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm beyond honored. An official doctor. I'm just going to go by Dr. Nicole from now on.
Oh, I hope so. Next art exhibition you enter, or the next art fair you do.
Oh, yes. All art fairs moving forward. I'm going to switch my name tag. It's not going to say Nicole Houff. It's just going to say Dr. Nicole.
Dr. Nicole. And you have been doing a lot of art fairs recently, haven't you?
I have been. It has been a super busy art fair season. The summer is always really slammed with shows almost every weekend, and that carries on into the fall. Then there's a little bit of a lull, and then you go right into the holiday season.
Oh, wow. I hope you have great sales because I appreciate your artwork, and it fills me with joy to think of these epic, nostalgic, vintage, pushing against the gender binary photographs of Barbie you create.
Thank you. I mean, a higher compliment I could not ask for. It's one of the reasons too I like using the vintage dolls, because they have kind of that built-in, it puts them in the right place in history, and you can really make more commentary because of that.
I also enjoy your use of the Barbie dolls that have the eyes to the side. Because she looks so snarky and sly the way that you frame her and light her.
My absolute favorite. She has the built-in side eye. There's just so much attitude. And I feel like when you use that, the expression alone is a story. And then to work it into a larger narrative.
Oh, it's so wonderful. And Nicole, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Now, I have sat through one graduation ceremony too many where the institution required their honorary doctorate recipient to give a long and tedious speech, but I would never do that to you. I respect you far too much, which is why I am simply going to ask you 5 short questions so our lovely friends listening can learn more about you.
I love it. I am all set, my dear.
First of all, what is one of your favorite post-apocalyptic B movies?
So this one I had to go with the 1987 movie Hell Comes to Frogtown. It is something. But basically, it's a movie that was written by science fiction and film writer Randall Frakes, and he worked with James Cameron on Terminator 1 and 2.
Oh,
which it's interesting, that kind of a tie-in. And it stars, of course, Rowdy Roddy Piper as Sam Hell, and everybody knows him as a professional wrestler. And in the movie world, of course, from They Live, which is so iconic in the 80s as well. And it also stars, and I always screw up her name, it's Sandal Bergman, and she was from Conan the Barbarian and Red Sonja.
wow.
So you have kind of these two big heavy hitters from the 80s. You also have, it written by Randall Frakes, who's also a big name. But it is just this horribly cringe, weird movie that the entire plot is that Sam Hell has to go rescue these fertile women from Frogtown and save them from these frog mutants to help repopulate the world. So, yes.
It is a wild movie, and
Wild ride, I tell you.
it is one of those movies that I think is best watched at midnight.
Yes. Yes. With low expectations, I might
Yes.
add as well.
Second, tell us what is a skill you have that would be valuable in a post-apocalyptic community.
Well, I have to say, when I got this question, I was just thinking about myself, and I am the slowest, clumsiest, most uncoordinated, I have no depth perception human on the planet. And my husband will attest to this. But I have the gift of gab, and I'm oddly optimistic. And I think I've learned that from art fairs, because it's like, oh, it's a downpour. Everything is getting ruined. But you know what? I'm doing what I love. It's like you have to have that mindset when you work outside, I think. So with that, and if you believe in the concept of mind over matter, it's like, heck, that would be a valuable resource. I mean, I could be a leader or a spin doctor, keeping the weary masses, their spirits up.
That is an incredibly important skill. And as another fellow clumsy person, I would enjoy being in the post-apocalyptic community with you.
Excellent. Excellent. We'll have to have a nice selection of Band-Aids too.
When I fall down.
Yes.
Yeah, when I fall down, you'll be like, oh, well, you were tired and needed to sit down anyway. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly.
Next, would you rather fight 10 Godzillas the size of Barbie dolls or fight one Barbie the size of Godzilla?
Oh, now that's an awesome question. And I have to say, because I have the photo with Barbie versus Godzilla, and I get asked all the time by kids who I would think would win in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them that Barbie would win because she can handle those stilettos and all of that. She can easily handle Godzilla and his atomic fire breath. So with that philosophy, I would say I would rather fight 10 Barbie-sized Godzillas and then hone in the skill set that Barbie herself has and defeat them. Because I think Barbie's unstoppable no matter what size.
And that photograph that you created of Godzilla versus Barbie is one of my favorites.
Thank you.
This isn't part of my 5 questions, but for anyone listening, what would be the easiest way for them to see that artwork or to purchase it from you?
So I have everything on my website, like you mentioned earlier, the NicoleHouff.com, and that you can see all the images, and it also links over to my online store if you're so inclined.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. My 4th question is, how would you keep yourself company if the apocalypse puts you in total isolation?
Well, luckily, due to the nature of what I do, I've become very accustomed to working with inanimate plastic people. So in a post-apocalypse scenario, I would have plenty of company with the hundreds of plastic friends that I have built around me.
Finally, Nicole, what is something we should learn to do before the world ends?
I have a simple answer, but I did put a lot of thought into it. And I'd have to say, learn how to use a slingshot. Because not only is that enjoyable, it's also incredibly useful. And if you could incorporate that into a utility belt, I feel like you'd be golden and unstoppable.
I appreciate that advice. I have never used a slingshot before.
No, I haven't either, but I've seen videos and, of course, historical references. So it is a skill set that I'm like, you know what? If the end was near, or if I was getting that feeling, I think I would definitely pick up that.
Well, thank you so much for your insight, your sense of humor. I really appreciate that I got a chance to chat with you. So thank you, Dr. Nicole.
Ooh, well, thank you, my dear. It is nothing but an honor. So thank you.
Femininity in the Post-Apocalypse was created and edited by me, Klaire Lockheart, as a coping mechanism for the non-stop existential dread. Check out my work at clairelockhart.com. That's spelled KLAIRELOCKHEART.com. You can see my Brodalesque paintings under the Artwork tab. My gratitude, as always, goes to Aaron C Packard of Aaron C Packard Productions for providing the voice work and my recording equipment. You can see his photography at aaronpackard.com, spelled AARONPACKARD. Finally, I want to thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this show, please remember to subscribe, write a glowing review, and recommend this program to your friends. If you don't enjoy this show, why are you listening to it all the way to the end? That's really strange.